Love is complicated, but sometimes the problem isn't love at all. It's language. Today, we're talking about why understanding your partner's love language can make or break a relationship and how miscommunication can leave even the most well-intentioned couples feeling disconnected. Joining us is psychiatrist Dr. Davina Knowles-Robinson, who is here to help us decode love, improve connection, and maybe even save a few relationships along the way. Welcome back to What's Trending, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you for having me. That sounds like a very tall order, but we'll see.
We'll see what you come up with. I know you're always often very helpful. Now, so for anyone who is watching, who has heard the term but isn't totally sure what are love languages and why do they matter so much in relationships?
So Dr. Gary Chapman conceptualized this thought that love is something that you receive and something that you get and give. So he conceptualized this theory that there are 5 love languages that include gift giving, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service. And so people receive and give love in a different way. So if you do the testing, you can kind of see where you kind of fall with your more likely to have love in this way versus another.
So there are some people, like couples, they feel like they're doing everything, but they still feel unappreciated or unseen. What do you say to them?
So that's all about communication, and I would advise there's the website to go on where you can actually take your love language test.
Okay.
And as a couple, that might be a nice flirty way to embrace the relationship, see where it's going, how to navigate those spaces. So communication is very important. So if you do the test, you can kind of see which love language you are and how you give and how you receive, and I think that will better understand your partner and how to appreciate your relationship.
Because that was where I was going with my next question in terms of what happens when couples seem to have completely different love languages. You mentioned doing the test, but what's one other thing that they probably could consider to solve that issue?
So imagine you being a very, very chatty person, and the person next to you is just touching you all the time, and they're thinking, oh, I'm doing everything right. When in fact, I hate to be touched. Like, I don't want you to touch me, don't breathe next to me, can you leave me alone? I need some acts of service. So like, at the end of the day, communicating how you truly feel with your partner. So a lot of times people feel a certain type of way, but yet they're not communicating how they want to receive or give that love. And so you two are disconnecting, 2 freight trains colliding, essentially.
And so communication then is the key element
Correct.
to discovering what their love language is, because you don't want it to seem like I interrogating you
No.
to find out. So what's a way that we could smooth into having that conversation or ease into it?
Talking. I mean, even though that might not be your love language, communication is key, because I'm not going to be able to read your mind and establish how you feel about a certain thing unless you tell me. And so having that conversation, even if it may seem painful and painstaking, is very important. And that would help alleviate a lot of the problems that people face in their marriage.
What would you say is the biggest mistake that you see people make when it comes to expressing love?
They don't know themselves what they want. So identifying in yourself what it is you want and how you want to be received is very important. So understanding yourself, so it's self-evaluation, I think, is the most important thing, and then being able to communicate that to somebody else. Because again, I can't read your mind, so until you know, we won't.
That makes a lot of sense, because sometimes it's one thing to be communicating or trying to bridge the gap, but if you can't talk about it, that's an even greater divide.
Correct.
Wow. So do you think social media and the modern dating culture have changed how we give and receive love?
I think social media has warped the sense of how relationships should be, because a lot of times we focus on one thing. Like, you see the big trips and the big name brand bags and those type of things, and so that translates into love. But yet some people are thingsy and they like the things, but some people, that might not even be where they're receiving the love. So you have this dopamine surge of the trips to Dubai and the Chanel bags, but that person does not receive it in that way, so it is a warped sense of reality.
But other than that too, it's like, it's only one-sided as well.
Right.
So that's another element that you kind of have to bridge. So what is one small thing that you would say that can happen today so that people are better able to speak their partner's love language once they seem to have gotten in a groove?
So dating your partner is very essential. I think knowing your partner, even if you're married for 5, 10 years, having an established weekly, maybe monthly date night is very important. So learning your partner, being able to communicate. Oftentimes I see people out to dinner and they're texting, they're on their phone the entire time. Being able to have that healthy conversation with your partner, and anybody that's watching, a fun exercise to do with your partner is taking the test. It is available online. Look for the 5 love languages test. And I think that would be a good engagement. So you could have the foundation of where your relationship, where you and your partner stand. And I think that would help navigate the space a little bit better.
That makes a lot of sense. And so we're just wondering, can a relationship survive if love languages never align?
That's a very hard question, but I mean, there's no absolutes in anything. I say there's no true never and always. Their evolution, change is the only constant. So if you're willing to adapt, willing to learn, I think there's a possibility to grow the relationship and change it from a dead one.
And that makes a lot of sense. Anything else you want to add, seeing that this is Love Week, that people need to keep in mind that we may not have touched on for today?
I think the biggest and most important thing is to love yourself first. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So if you don't love you, how can you expect somebody else to love you? If you don't know how you want to be loved, then you can't give that love to anybody else. So first, develop yourself, figure out who you are and where you want to be, and then be able to establish that for somebody else as well.
Definitely good advice. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Robinson. Your insight is always truly appreciated. So thanks a lot. Well, here's the thing. We've all felt unappreciated, unseen, or have even been heartbroken. But it's never too late to flip the script. DM us your stories on Instagram at What's Trending on ZNS. Dr. Robinson is here to give you self-love and how we can celebrate the brighter side of things. Start typing now.